The man carefully took a thigh out of the refrigerator, then put it on the counter, gently cut off a small piece of meat. You would never guess, the owner of the thigh is actually a two-legged animal. If you don't know what a two-legged animal is, the comments section will tell you the answer. Then the man took out a small hammer. He danced and used the hammer to break up the meat. Then he vacuum packed the meat and put it in several portions in a box. Next, he packed the lady's personal clothes and photos. He then packs them together and puts them in the box. And then he sends the meat to the world's richest people. After receiving the goods, the buyer will carefully check the contents after professional cooking, and then it becomes a delicacy in the mouths of the rich. The man is a doctor named Steve. To be precise, he is also an ogre. His other skill is flirting with girls. One night Steve finds a new target. It's Noah, the main girl. They have a nice conversation. He learns that Noah is an older single woman, and he learns that Noah has no other family. This is exactly what Steve is looking for. Noah falls in love at first sight with this wonderful man. She thinks Steve is the right man for her, and soon they were together. It was a relationship. The next day, Noah told her best friend Molly. She told her, as a friend of hers, must be careful. Nowadays, there are too many scum men, but Noah was already overwhelmed by love. She didn't take Molly's words to heart. Then Steve invited Noah to go on a trip with him. Noah agreed without even thinking about it. But her best friend had a bad feeling about it. She told Noah to keep her cell phone open, keep in touch, and so it was. The two of them embarked on a trip that they said they would take. But Noah didn't know. This will be the most regretful decision she made in her life. The car drove further and further away. Steve used the weekend rush hour as an excuse. Noah was pulled to a large villa in a remote mountain area. At this point, she was still defenseless. She happily accepted the cocktail Steve handed her. But not even a minute later, she felt herself drifting off. The next second she was on the ground. She woke up to find herself chained to a chain. She looked at Steve incredulously and asked Steve what was going on. But then the next thing she says gives her the creeps.
I'm gonna sell you meat. People pay me a lot of money for it. And you're here. And weird shit like that.
Steve told Noah he wouldn't let her die so soon, and that he would take good care of her, because the fresher the meat, the better. So I'll keep you alive as long as I can. Hearing this, Noah was completely desperate. She regretted not listening to her best friend's advice. She began to resist desperately. But it didn't help. Steve was holding her hard from behind. She was easily subdued. After Steve left, she began to cry out for help. That's when a woman's voice came from next door. Noah begged her to let her go, but the woman said, "I can't help you. We're in the same boat." And she was now being eaten slowly. It turns out that in this basement, Noah wasn't the only one imprisoned. The girls were all tricked by him. Noah forced herself to calm down. She knew that if she wanted to escape, she had to do it on her own. Steve came back to visit Noah a few days later. Noah behaved very obediently and said she would do as he said. She only wanted the right to take a shower once. Steve still had some feelings for the woman in front of him, so he agreed to her request. Using this opportunity, she looked around carefully for an escape route. Suddenly she kicked hard. When she woke up again, she found herself on the operating table.
I'm taking your ass.
The cold scalpel slashed through her body. Since then, she has lost the back part of her body completely. At this point, she could only crawl on the floor with difficulty. On the other hand, her best friend Molly had already noticed the abnormality. She looked at the text message from Noah. The tone of the text message was not right, so she looked up the picture Noah sent her online. She didn't expect it to be an online picture. Then Molly found the bar where they met. At the bar owner Paul's place, she found out Steve's name. Noah's best friend is really something. That's how she found Steve's information online. She found out the guy not only had a wife, and he had 2 kids. It just so happens that Steve's address was on the photo. The next day Molly arrived at Steve's house, and before she got out of the car, she sent a text message to Paul, told him to call the police if anything happened to her. When she entered the house, she made her intentions clear to the woman. But the woman shook her head and said her husband was not that kind of person, and that her husband was at work every day. Just as Molly was about to leave, Steve suddenly came back. After learning Molly's reason for coming, Steve said he didn't know any Noah. At this point, Molly's intelligence was back online. She dialed Noah's cell phone. Steve took out the phone in his pocket. Molly was stunned. It turned out that his wife had been a victim too. One of her legs was cut off by Steve, but then she fell in love with Steve and gave birth to his 2 children, so she also became Steve's accomplice. On the other hand, Noah is still thinking about how to escape without her ass. She was trying to sit and exercise every day. One night, she saw a magazine. On it, one of the victims had written a sentence. When you read this sentence, it proves that he still likes you. Use your strengths to your advantage and you're sure to get out. Don't give up. So she came up with an escape plan. When Steve came back for him, she deliberately asked Steve about the taste of human flesh and showed that she was interested. This gave Steve a new perspective on him. It turns out that people like him also wanted to find his own kind. For this reason, he specially selected some ingredients to prepare a nice dinner for Noah. Can you believe it? Just a small plate of volcanic eruption can be sold for $30,000 because it's not an ordinary ingredient. It's the meat of a 2-legged animal. Steve told her it was the meat of the girl next door to you. Noah looked at the plate in front of her. She fought back her nausea. She slowly inserted a piece into her mouth, chewing it carefully, trying to look like she was enjoying it. As she ate, she complimented Steve on his great cooking, because she wanted to gain Steve's trust. But when she got back to the basement, she immediately threw up into the toilet. And sure enough, the next day, Steve gave Noah a beautiful dress and invited her to dinner again. Noah knew it would be a unique opportunity, but she never expected. This time it was Molly's meat.
It's really fatty and subtle. I don't know. It might even be familiar.
After a good meal, Steve also showed Noah his trophies. Inside were photos and relics of the victims. Noah accidentally saw Molly's cell phone. She continued to play it cool. Then she invited Steve to dance. Noah saw that the time was right. She pushed Steve down. She grabbed the keys from the table and ran away, and locked the door with the bracelet. Then she found the basement. She then found the basement and let Molly and the other girl out. The 3 of them helped each other to escape from the villa. On the other hand, Molly's friend Paul also found the place. He looked at the gloomy environment here and was confused, so he didn't hesitate to run away.
Come on, man, we seen this movie, man. We don't make it out this bitch alive, you notice. GPS got me twisted and shit.
I didn't expect Steve to come after them anytime soon. He was screaming at the top of his lungs to kill them all. Molly came out of nowhere. Then the 3 of them swarmed. Steve was beaten to death. Steve's wife also found the place. Noah picked up the phone on the ground and was going to call the police. But when she turned around, she saw Steve's wife. She cried and said to Noah, "Thank you for killing him. She was a victim too. Now we're all free." But as she said that, she grabbed Noah's neck. Noah broke free and tried to escape. But then his wife pinned him against a tree. Luckily, Molly arrived just in time. She took a shovel and beat her. In the end, they are completely safe. This is a reminder to all single women. Online dating is risky. Be careful when making friends. No matter what time, always protect your own safety. Welcome to Leave Comments. See you next time.